If you're new here, we're Laura and Aaron, and we've been living in our van for the last few years.
But recently my dad passed away very unexpectedly and everything felt completely shattered. We knew we needed to get back into nature to start feeling okay again, so we headed to the part of the world that brings us the most wonder, the European Alps.
These last few weeks, we've been travelling through France in awe of the beauty of the snow-capped mountains, the turquoise lakes and the wildflower meadows, and slowly, it feels like this place is healing us. Last night we were parked by this beautiful milky blue lake on the border between France and Switzerland. We did quite fancy going in for a morning dip, but it's more of a reservoir than a wild swimming lake. So we just got on with our morning routine, as always, just putting things away and tidying up the van.
Today we're heading towards Chamonix, which is a really famous area here in the French Alps. We've heard that there's lots of amazing lakes and snow-capped mountains around there, and if you've been watching our other videos you'll know that's kind of our thing. We just can't get enough of that sort of alpine scenery. On our way we're filling up our water tanks. In the Alps there's these running water taps literally everywhere you go, and it's so amazing because it is the freshest water you'll ever drink. It's fed straight from the glaciers down to these taps, and this makes such a big difference for us after growing up in cities in the UK where we're obviously drinking tap water that's quite heavily processed. We carry about 35 litres of water in the van, which usually lasts us about 3 days, and that's with drinking and washing up, but we never really have to worry about running out of water in the Alps because these taps are literally everywhere.
So we have just arrived in Chamonix and it is very busy here. I think this has to be one of the most popular places in the Alps.
Yeah, I think it is.
There is a hike that we really wanted to go on to a lake called Lac Blanc, but it's looking like unfortunately we won't be able to go.
Yeah, the area that the lake is in is a very protected area, and they don't let dogs in because the dogs might disturb the wildlife, which is totally understandable.
Yeah.
Like, we're right by Mont Blanc, it's a very special place.
Yeah.
But we're not going to leave Lufie in the van for like an 8-hour hike, so we're going to have to try and find something else, I think.
Yeah, I think we'll just find a quieter walk, and to be honest, maybe that's not a bad thing. As beautiful as that lake does look, it's probably going to be very touristy, and if it's that busy I think it can be quite hard to enjoy the nature and just be present.
Yeah, we prefer to be in places that are quite a bit quieter anyway, so we'll find something around here and just enjoy the place anyhow.
Whenever we're out walking and we stop to have a little look at like a flower or an insect or something, Lufie just knows what we're like. She knows that we're going to be at least 10 minutes stood around, so she just makes herself comfortable and sort of makes a little bed in the shrubbery. On this occasion we noticed some wild herbs growing along the side of the forest trail, and we decided to just gather some and bring them back to the van with us. There was a lot of thyme, which we are quite used to here in the mountains, but there was also wild oregano, which is a bit more of a rare event for us to find, so we got very giddy and gathered a nice big handful. We noticed Lufie kind of sniffing the air and licking some of the plants around her. We think maybe she's a little bit of a forager herself. She certainly knew where the best stuff was though, because she was sat on the mother load of wild herbs, keeping them all very warm for us. Before Lufie got too comfortable in her deep sleep, we continued our walk, heading back towards the van. Once we got back to the van, we had a little drive around and eventually found this little cozy place to park up. It was quite nice because there's a few other vans here too, which always makes us feel kind of reassured when we're in a new area that we're okay to park here and that we're not going to get told off. The other really nice thing about where we're parked is that there's this teeny little lake here just right by the van, and it was just so breathtaking with the moon rising above the mountains and the water just moving. It kind of felt like stepping into a real life painting from a museum. It was just such a blissful moment in the day, watching the sun go down and the mountains glowing orange, and all of that just reflected so perfectly in the still water of the lake.
The next day the scene looked completely different in the morning sun, and I went to have a spot of breakfast down by the water, seeking some shelter underneath this great big old pine tree. Once our breakfast was down, we went on a little wander, seeing a few of the lakes in Chamonix, and we were totally blown away by how green these lakes were. We're used to seeing quite crystal blue lakes in the Alps, but these were spectacularly green.
Perched on the edge of one of the lakes was this really enchanting old little ruin. We had a little look inside and were just completely mesmerised by how amazing it must have been to live here back in the day, with these spectacular views of Mont Blanc through your beautiful windows, and barely anybody would have been around in those days. We were just fantasising about how brilliant it would have been here back then. When we got back to the van, we did a little bit of research, and it turns out it's actually a fake ruin. It was built not too long ago by a Scottish man who was missing the familiar kind of ruined castles and moors of the Scottish Highlands and wanted to feel more at home. The builders definitely did a pretty good job though, because we absolutely fell for it. So we're thinking of moving to a new national park. We just feel kind of like we've exhausted all our options here with the no dog rule and Lufie not being able to go certain places. There's kind of nothing left to do.
No, unfortunately not. And we're going to head further south, and the aim is to find as many lakes and bodies of water as we can, so that Laura in particular can go swimming. Yeah,
there's kind of like getting to the really hot part of summer now, and it just feels well, firstly, you've just got that urge to get in water when it's this hot, but also it feels silly to waste summer not swimming, because this is like the only time of the year where it's like comfortable to get into a cold lake.
I wouldn't say comfortable. It's tolerable, I suppose. I mean, I'm not very good at swimming. I don't really love the water, but I want to learn and get better, and it is very refreshing, as Laura says. But Laura, on the other hand, you kind of love it, don't you?
Yeah, I do love it, and there's really not many forms of exercise that I actually like at all. Like, I think I like hiking. Well, I like flat hiking and swimming, and that's it. And yeah, it would just be nice to make the most of swimming season whilst it's still here.
On our drive, we noticed there was an organic shop en route, and we thought it'd be a good opportunity to stock up on some food.
We never buy too much fresh food since we don't have a fridge in our van, so just a few fruit and veg and a bit of fresh bread too. Until recently, we never used to buy organic because it was always way out of our budget, and also we just never really understood why anybody would do that when it's so much more expensive. But recently we started learning all about pesticides and the crazy amount of damage that they're doing to the soil and to all the pollinators, and also the damage they do to our bodies. And we decided that even though it's more expensive, it was something that we're happy to spend our money on, especially since recently we did start making an actual income through selling our art online, which is quite a difference, because when we first started van life 4 years ago, we were really on an extremely tight budget of about £100 a week for the two of us, and we would never buy anything other than like the basic needs since we were earning so little between us.
We parked up by a place called Lac de Verney, which is in Écrans National Park, a completely different part of the French Alps to where we've been these last few weeks. And the evening just drifted away as I cooked a meal for us, really just nice and slowly, and we just got familiar with our new surroundings. So we could have lunch in the van, but because we're by the lake, we might as well have it on the water. The other day we bought a vegan camembert because we're in France and it was horribly expensive. So we thought, let's make the most of it, go all out and have like a big vegan platter on the lake. By the lake where we're parked, there's some water sports, and we decided to rent a pedal boat because we just thought wouldn't it be nice to get out into the middle of the water, to splash about, eat our food, and just waste away a day.
After our picnic, we just pedalled about a bit more and came across this beautiful kind of lagoony area with this gushing waterfall. It's really moments like these that make us realise how cool it is that we're able to bring our little dog around with us. When we rescued Lufie, she'd really not seen much of the outside world at all. She'd been kept mostly in a cage within one room and she'd never even been on a walk before, so it's just really nice to kind of take her out into nature and go on lots of silly adventures together. The green lakes where we were yesterday in Chamonix just didn't really feel appropriate to swim in. There was just too many people wandering about and they were kind of shallow, but this feels like the perfect opportunity where I can finally have a little splash about.
We are fully in summer mode right now. We've just been indulging in loads of good food, soaking up the sun and playing around in the water. It's exactly what we wanted when we drove down towards this place.
Yeah, exactly. It's just really relaxing, to be honest, and we're kind of thinking about just staying here at this lake for a few more days, which we don't usually do that. We usually travel like 30 minutes a day, which to be fair is quite slow for an average traveler. Like most people travel way faster than that, but for us anything more than that feels like we're rushing through a place. But yeah, every once in a while we just feel this urge to put some roots down and stay in a place for a few days.
Yeah, we're just going to soak up this feeling that we've got right now, and probably in a few days time we'll get itchy feet and we'll want to get back on the road again.
Yes, most likely that will happen, and then when it does, that's when we'll set off.